So greetings, it's Mike from livemyassoff.com on a new phone, and there's a part of me that is purposely doing this with my hand because I want to. It's the Nexus 6P or Huawei 6P, and I've had Google 5 for a while, but have just been too lazy or cheap to buy a replacement phone for the one that I literally threw away one morning in the trash. So I'm back to having a big boy phone. This will do like 12 megapixel photos, and I think it will do 1080p video on this camera as well as the one on the main side, or back side, I suppose. But I don't do that because it's just simply, it takes too long to upload, and, you know, I'm not taking footage of beautiful birds in the middle of the tropics. It's just me. And so here's what I wanted to talk about. A lot of times that I share, I suppose, I talk about contrast and how, you know, the things that are different here versus there, and whether here means the entire United States, or just Southern California, or San Diego, or Coronado for that matter. And, you know, over there being Thailand, or the Philippines, or wherever. Vietnam. So, the thing that popped up lately, a couple times actually, and it was one of those deals where, yeah, I'm gonna do a video, and then I forget. I remember and forget a lot of things. Do you guys do that? So, the contrast for me lately has been, the discussion, and I've had this discussion on a number of times, on things are corrupt, and and I understand why people make that statement, because compared to my normal behavior, compared to the sphere that I live in, and I could say bubble, but I don't want to make it sound like your life is small, but. So a lot of times the word bubble sounds derogatory, but the bubble that you're in, the bubble that I'm in. I get used to things, and I get used to things being predictable, and then if they're normal to me and they happen 2 or 3 times potentially, then I sort of accept them. So, as an example, my expectation, if I drive down the freeway at a speed greater than the posted speed limit, more than about 10 or 15 miles an hour over that, if a cop pulls me over, a police officer pulls me over, I'm like, okay, I get it. If I'm driving down the freeway and I'm going like 90 miles an hour, then it's like, okay, yeah, he pulled me over, I get it. If I'm going 70, then it's like, okay, that's a little ridiculous. But if I were to get a ticket for, say, $300, $400, $500, I would be like, all right, I understand. This is the way that this is the paradigm that we agree on. And so here in Southern California, I hadn't experienced this in Massachusetts before I moved here, but here in California, sorry, the process that you can go through with speeding tickets is going to what we refer to as traffic school. And so what happens is you get this ticket, and so that it does not get reported to your insurance company, and therefore your insurance rates go up because presumably you've been driving incorrectly, i.e. speeding, recklessly, or whatever, how they, you know, they would put a point on your driving record. And the more points you have, the less safe you are, and therefore the higher your insurance rates will be. So, if you have the opportunity for them to not notify your insurance company, then presumably your insurance rates will stay the same, and your monthly costs to insure your vehicle will not go up. So therefore, you're sort of motivated to go through this traffic school. Now, as part of that, you need to pay the entire price of the ticket. So let's say, for the sake of argument, it's $300. So you go to court and you pay $300. And actually, I don't know whether you have to physically go to court and request traffic school. And I believe, and again, it's been a while, but the last time it happened to me, I believe what happens is if you have not gone to traffic school and or gotten a speeding ticket within the last 18 months, you're able to do it again. And again, I believe that you have to go to court for it. Maybe, I don't know. For all I know, you go to ca.dmv.gov or whatever, and you just say, click on traffic school, and if you're eligible, then you can go. And then you get a list of all these traffic schools, and you go to what's called traffic school, which is traditionally like on a Saturday or on a Sunday. You spend, basically the entire day there sitting in a chair, going over a PowerPoint presentation that is apparently approved by the California DMV. And in doing so, it verifies that you're now a safer driver, and therefore we won't tell your insurance company. But they still levy the fine on the ticket, and traffic school, I believe, costs anywhere from $39.99 to $100 or something like that. And they have various forms of traffic school. A lot of times, you sort of, or at least I pick the one that's at the top, just like AAA traffic school, or a lot of times it's like out-of-work comedians or out-of-work DJ. I had a DJ actually that I worked with years ago at 91X, and he was the traffic school instructor, Billy Bones. And so that was kind of interesting. But anyway, so it's guys that are trying to make a little extra money doing that, and again, sometimes it's comedians. So anyway, so you sit through this traffic school process, and then you get a certificate, and then you basically go on your way. Okay, so the result is I broke the law, essentially, driving over the speed limit excessively. A police officer acknowledged that, wrote me a ticket, he gave it to me. And then for my punishment, I am out, for the sake of argument, let's say $300 plus $100, so $400. Now, I have been speeding excessively in Mexico before. And I had a Mexican driver's license, and I was going too fast. Cop made a U-turn, pulled me over, came up to me, and this was not my first rodeo, as they say, and it was not my first time in Mexico, and it wasn't my first time interfacing with the police. And I don't break the law. Okay, I speed, right? But I don't, do anything. I certainly don't commit felonies, thank God. But I also, misdemeanors. I'm not a big fan of those either. So I would submit that really the only time I ever break the law is when I'm exceeding the speed limit. So anyway, so I do this, and the guy pulls me over, and license, registration, insurance, that sort of thing, and I open up my wallet. In my wallet is my driver's license. Additionally, in the part of the billfold, there is there's currency, right? So there's Mexican pesos and there was US dollars. And there was, ones and the $20 bill. And so I open up the sort of billfold area, and there's actual cash in there, and there's a $20 bill showing. And so I go to pull out my license, and I hand it to the guy, and I'm stowing there, and I'm not being obvious about it. But he just looks down and kind of gives me a nod, and so I pull out the $20 bill and I give it to the police officer. And he smiles and he says, okay, have a good day. Tengas un buen día, amigo. And it was also sort of cordial because at the end of the day, I was fully aware that I had, been speeding. My license told him that I was living approximately, I would say probably about 100 kilometers south of where he pulled me over. I had a house in San Felipe where I claim residency in Mexico. And so I had this Mexican driver's license. And so he sort of, I could tell it was sort of okay, well, I acknowledge the fact that you're part of Mexico. You're not just down here as a tourist, basically, screwing around and, expecting you to be able to do everything because you're an American. and in truth, I mean, I have quite a bit of respect for the Mexican people, the Mexican government, and the imperfections that are there. So anyway, so at the end of the day, I leave, and in fact, I do slow down. Now, I will also tell you that when I get a ticket and I go through the process of traffic school, I do my, I slow down. And so again, the result is, basically similar in the sense that I have been punished for this and I will not do the crime again. I do the crime, I do the time, and then I repent, and then I move on, and ideally I change my behavior, which of course is, being financially motivated to do so, and I did. But here's the result. I'm out $20 when I'm in Mexico. In the United States, I'm out $400. Now, you could say, well, yeah, but that's totally dishonest. I mean, you're paying, the police officer. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, you could say that because it's a paradigm I'm not used to over here. And you could say, yeah, these guys are corrupt or whatever. But you could also argue that, okay, well, in doing the payment here, the reason it's so freaking high is, one, to encourage you to not do it again, to make it financially uncomfortable for you. And the second is because I need to pay that officer that gave me the ticket. I need to pay all of the people in the administrative staff that, took care of the processing of my ticket. I need, and little, pieces of this $400. Some of that $100 for traffic school goes to the actual guy who's performing it. It goes to the organization and the administrator. Anyway, there's all these little pieces along the way, right? I need part of that payment goes to the judge. if I in fact needed to go to school, and or the website and the hosting and the servers and all. I mean, anyway, you can line item it, right? And you could argue, well, yeah, but they still have all of that stuff in play in Mexico. Okay. And, you know, the police officer, let's say for the sake of argument, in Southern California, police officer, let's say he makes $75,000 a year as a salary plus benefits, so all in maybe $100,000 of costs to the state for each, you know, officer, or 75 or whatever, put a number on it. And I believe in Mexico, at least at the time that I was getting that ticket, those guys make about anywhere from $20 to $50 a week. And so this, you know, was allowed him to, you know, have a higher salary. But it didn't have to go through all the little pieces. And, you know, and I'm not like sitting here justifying that that's the correct process, or justifying the fact that, you know, you could label me and say, oh, well, you're just part of the problem, Mike, because, you know, you're feeding this lying and cheating that occurs down there, and all it does is make it worse, and, you know, and everything. And I don't know. Personally, I disagree. I believe that the result was achieved. I was speeding. I discontinued speeding. I was more conscious of my speed, and potentially I was driving safer. I was out money, and that motivated me to think twice about that. And there was a process that took that money and it went back into the system. You know, if that police officer never received cash for that ticket, but only got paid, like, let's say $50 a week as an officer in Mexico, would he continue to do that job? Would they continue to have officers? So, I mean, again, and you can debate this, and you can say, no, Mike, it's supposed to be this way, it's supposed to be this process, this is what I grew up with, and therefore I believe that that is the truth, and that's what we should do. Fine. So here is another contrast by that. There's a lot of people on YouTube that make these videos, and they're like, hey, when you go over to Thailand, watch out for these scams, right? And they say, okay, so what's going to happen is you're going to get into a taxi cab, and the guy's going to try and charge you too much money. So here's the way you can really stick it to him, right? You can make sure that he turns on the meter. You can, you know, you can argue with him and say, no, it's not 100 baht. It's supposed to be 20 baht. Ha ha ha. And then they do a video, and they get all excited and proud of themselves that they got this service from a Thai person who makes probably 1/20th of the salary that the average person in America going over there makes, and they feel great about themselves. Additionally, I've been on Airbnb lately, and I get these houses, and I get these houses in Thailand, in the Philippines, and Vietnam, and I brag to my friends about how inexpensive they are in comparison to over here. So, like, I'm staying right in front of this, or sitting in front of this, like, condo complex, and right down the street from it is actually, it's a part of the Marriott Group property. And the rooms, you know, they're right on the beach, right? So they're probably like $300, $350 on a low one, and then I'm sure if you have an ocean view and it's like July 4th, then it's probably like $650. The rooms up at the Del are, you know, very expensive. And also, so room at the Marriott Inland in Orlando, Florida, that I just went to about a month ago for an IT conference. All in, it was $330 a night. And so I get very excited when I tell people, oh my God, I got this house on Airbnb in the Philippines. It's right on the beach. It's a 2-story house. It's all wood. It's gorgeous. The people will, you know, take care of me. They're incredibly cordial. I get this ocean view, and it's $31 a night. Everyone's like, oh my God, that's awesome. So am I taking advantage of those people? I mean, if he was charging $40 a night for that house, I wouldn't even, you know, okay. I honestly don't know what the cleaning fees are for it in Airbnb. For all I know, he's charging me $5 a night for a cleaning fee. Maybe he's charging me $15. I don't know. The point is, it's like this hugely awesome deal, and I'm really proud of it. I'm really excited, and I tell people, now, knowing what I know and knowing where I come from, should I seriously be saying to that guy, hey, listen, you know what, based on my research and based on where I've been and the view that this place has and the quality infrastructure and your family's really nice and that stuff, honestly, I think I'm gonna pay you 62 bucks a night for this. Because I just don't feel like it's fair to pay you this super low rate. And, you know, so again, it's contrast. I don't really debate any of this stuff. I just sort of like go along with the flow because, well, for a couple reasons. One is that acceptance is the answer to all my problems today, is a statement from a book that I believe has saved my life, and I believe that statement also has given me a significant amount of sanity and comfort in my own skin. So anyway, those are just 2 examples, and maybe I should have done 2 videos and 1 example in each one. But I'll tell you that, again, it's all just contrast. And I like it here, and I also like it over there. I don't particularly like what I consider to be overpaying for things, but I don't believe that I'm taking advantage of somebody intentionally if I am paying less than, you know, I mean, dude, $31 for, okay, so that room I'm paying I paid $330 a night for, at that Marriott property in Orlando. I'm renting an island that is 700,000 square meters, and we're staying in a 2-story, 4,000 square foot house that has 4 bedrooms, 5 baths, and a 0-edge pool. We have the entire island to ourselves. There'll be a staff that takes us out there and cooks for us, catches fish in the Pacific Ocean. I'll put a link to it below. And all in, that's costing me $310 a night. Am I getting a good deal? Absolutely. Am I screwing this guy? No. I noticed that he had several, you know, postings on Airbnb for that sort of thing. And the one I found was, you know, before taxes and fees and all, it was like $278 a night. Yeah, and it's low season. And at the end of the day, if Gracie and I cancel our reservation and we don't spend the $310 a night, all in, including taxes and everything for this guy, it's not like there's another guy standing around saying, oh my God, thank God Mike canceled. I'm right in there. He's going to be making $0 a night. So again, you know, it's supply, demand, it's cost, it's relative, it's location, right? But it's an interesting contrast because it's what the value of that is there. And, you know, again, you could argue, it's like, look, dude, you're getting a smoking deal and you're really sticking it to this guy, right? And maybe he tells his friends, he's like, ah, God, I tell you what, you got to watch out for these American scams. They come over here with all this money and we know they have money and they simply won't spend it because they're cheap and they're lame and they're manipulative and they're arrogant and all this. I don't know. I don't believe they have that conversation. But I would submit to you these videos about, you know, getting scammed and that sort of, look, if you're dumb enough to walk around with cash falling out of your pocket and you drop it on the ground, I would say 90% of the time in Thailand, that a person will pick that stuff up, they will chase you down, and they will give you that money. I left a $600 cell phone. It was like 2 in the morning. I landed, total jet lag. I'm in Pattaya, Thailand, which you could argue is this like total slum, and it's like all based on sex tourism, and everybody goes there to watch girls dance at a pole. And no, there's not a gorgeous beach, and there's not the Sanctuary of Truth, and there's not a beautiful mall, and there's not amazing spas. Yeah, well, look, there's everything. But they make these generalizations and say, well, watch out for these scams in Pattaya, because I'm walking away and there's this guy running after me, screaming at me in Thai at like 2 in the morning. Sir, you dropped your cell, you know, he didn't say sir. You dropped your cell phone, you dropped your cell phone. And I turn around and I'm like, you're kidding me. Like this guy, his monthly salary is approximately the value of that phone. He could take that phone, he literally could have walked across the street, and probably at that time of night, I'm sure he could have sold that thing for 200 bucks. Popped the SIM out, thrown it away, bam, he's got a brand new phone. And, you know, and he didn't. Now, am I just like, oh my God, it's the best country in the world because people are actually honest? It's one of the reasons, but I can tell you overall the people are honest. Now that said, if I found a cell phone right here, and this has happened before, I found a cell phone and luckily the thing wasn't locked, so I went into it and I like checked for wife and mom and, you know, whatever, called the person. The woman's like, oh my God, thank you so much. My husband lost his cell phone. I shipped it to him like FedEx for the next like couple days. It cost like $20. I didn't ask for money. I was like, look, here's your cell phone. It's your cell phone. I have a duty as the person that I want to be to give this back to the rightful owner. It's what I'm supposed to do. So anyway, that's just a little bit about me and a little bit about my perspective. I'm going to be doing a couple videos on this actually, and this video is probably far too long, and I probably should have cut it down, but it was just me waxing philosophically. So anyway, from Mike's in Southern California, San Diego, Imperial Beach, Coronado, saying I hope you're living the dream, because if you're not living the dream, you're doing it wrong. Ciao.